Welcome back to American Ground Radio. I'm Stephen Pollard, Louis Sarr, Avalone. This is our 4th of July week. We're talking about our special coming up this weekend, What Makes America Great? And we're bringing you some great interviews that we've done over the last couple of years.
So the right to life, it's pretty important.
It is.
I mean, in fact, it's named, it's the very first one that is listed, the right to life.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's in the Declaration of Independence, and the second sentence of the Declaration of Independence.
I don't understand Biden's position, though, on abortion. He says personally there's a distinction between his own views and those that he seeks to impose as a government official. How do you segregate those two?
I don't, but our guest, Ben Clapper, says you can't.
America.
And joining us now on the phone, the head of Louisiana Right to Life, Ben Clapper. Ben, thanks for joining us back here on the show. A happy Independence Day.
Yeah, happy Independence Day to you guys. Hope you're doing well.
We are. Thank you.
Ben, how'd you first get involved with Louisiana Right to Life?
You know, I came out of college, and the first, in college I did a lot of Students for Life work on college campuses, knowing that, college is really kind of the make or break time when we're trying to form a pro-life future for America. And so as a college student in Louisiana, I got to know the people at Louisiana Right to Life. And fortunately, when I came out of college, I was able to make it work so that I could come on board with this organization. I was their first full-time employee, and they got founded in 1970. Clearly, I wasn't there then, but I was the first full-time employee, and since then, we've just tried to work to grow the organization so that we can save as many lives as possible and hopefully one day bring an end to abortion in Louisiana.
Now, you said college was kind of an age that you guys were targeting people. Was this something that was on your mind as you went into college? Was this something that was on your heart at that time?
Yeah, it was very end of my high school time. A brief story, where I grew up, the Chuck E. Cheese, if anybody's ever been to Chuck E. Cheese. Where a kid can be a kid, right across the street from the abortion facility where I grew up. And as a senior in high school, I actually was at the Chuck E. Cheese, and I stood outside Chuck E. Cheese, and I looked across the street. I mean, I was nominally pro-life at the time. But looking across the street and realizing that the Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid, a place that does birthday parties, was right across the street from the abortion facility, where a kid can't be a kid, where they make their business off of denying birthdays from ever happening. And I sat there and asked myself, how in the United States of America, where our Declaration of Independence ensures life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, how in the world can this be in the same place in America, especially in the South? And that was one experience that just kind of blew my mind. And I just that was the beginning of the process where I said, if I'm not going to stand up and speak for those who can't speak for themselves, who will? So that began the process of me thinking more critically about this. And then coming into college, I knew this was something that I wanted to be involved in. And fortunately, my wife was actually already, obviously wasn't my wife at the time, but she was already a college student at Loyola in New Orleans. And she had already helped start the pro-life group. We didn't know each other at the time, but that's how we met. And that's where I got involved. And the rest, as they say, was history.
All right, so after all of these years, have you been able to answer that question? The question that you asked as you were standing outside of the Chuck E. Cheese, how in the world can this be in America, where on one side of the street, we're celebrating life, and on the other side of the street, we're taking life?
Hey, Louis, I still can't answer that question, sadly. I still can't come to grips with, in my mind, about how this still exists. And part of my mission, my calling, my vocation in life is to try in some way, in some small or big way, to help other people ask that same question. We have so many just seemingly ridiculous dichotomies in our nation. A drunk driver hits a woman who's pregnant, and he can be and kills her and the baby, and he can be charged for double homicide, even though she's a block away from the abortion facility, perhaps, where she could go in and end the life of that baby. The end result is a dead baby both ways, but yet one person can be convicted, and then the other ways the baby is just a statistic on the number of abortions in America. We do everything in our power to take care of preemie babies in the NICU and the hospital, which of course I'm all for. Do everything we can to protect and help these babies. Yet at that same age of development, we allow those babies to be killed. Our nation is full of this dichotomy, this battle in a sense. It's almost like we've bifurcated ourselves between truth and lies, and it's going to come to bear in future, in time, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Now, Ben, you work in an industry where the stories that you get all the time are heartbreaking time and time again, and you're fighting against the perception of the laws as they exist in the country and the interpretation of the Constitution. I would assume it's pretty easy to get down on America in what you do.
It is, it's when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all, right? That's what it ends with. Well, when I say that, I tend to think to myself, well, that's not the case, right? This country is not ensuring liberty and justice for all right now. It's ensuring it for some. And my prayer, that's what I say under my breath when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, is liberty and justice for all, born and unborn, right? Because right now we're discriminating against half of our population, or not half of our population, but a large percentage of our human population. So it is sometimes challenging to be sometimes incredibly patriotic when I believe that our nation is sanctioning the killing of almost 1 million children every year through abortion. But I guess the beautiful part of America is that we can fix those things, and that's what. And if we didn't have the capacity to fix those things, then maybe I would have a harder time being more of a patriotic person, which I am certainly. But I know that we have a grave injustice to fix, and we got to do it.
So, despite the discouragement, what is it? Your faith in America remains strong. What is it that you think makes America great?
I believe America is great because we can fix our problems. We can fix our injustices. We fixed the problem of slavery as a nation, even though going into this nation, people knew it was a problem. And I believe today the problem of abortion can be fixed. We can change this direction as a nation. We can protect all human beings in America, born and unborn. And that's what gives me hope about America.
I love that answer, that there's still, as long as we have the power to correct what's wrong, because look, we're all human. A country's made up of people, so no country's ever going to be perfect, right? Because people aren't perfect. But if you have the ability to get better, well, that's where greatness comes from. I love that answer.
Yeah, and we don't have to do it through revolution. We don't have to do it through violence. We can do it through the process of our country. And that's what we have to work to. And the same system that the founders set up to change problems is what we're working through right now. It's unfortunate the Supreme Court has gone further and beyond of what the framers intended, and that's part of our problem today.
Ben Clapper, director of Louisiana Right for Life, thank you so much for being with us here this week on our 4th of July special, our Independence Week special, and thank you so much for the work you're doing across our state and across our country.
My pleasure.